Safe disposal, 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 safe disposal. Help us now, 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 help us now. We want to grow up healthy. 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 No burn, no burn, no burn, no burn, no burn, no burn.
Anything but open burn. As long as there's no open burn, we're going to be, I think the people will be happy. Whatever that solution is. And they brought it here, they can take it. Because I can tell you what, they would not allow this to happen in California. They would not allow this to happen in California.
They would not allow this to happen in California.
Or Massachusetts. So why would you want to come do it in Louisiana?
What came in your mind when you thought about the open burn or the possible pollution, you know? And I said, the Camp Minden kids, Dorleen High School, Houghton High School, Lakeside, Minden, all the schools around there. And so those kids don't deserve to breathe that air. They don't. And so it's our job to protect them, and that's what we're going to do. So
I want to thank you for this opportunity to address such an amazing crowd of concerned citizens. It's the American way for citizens to be active in decisions that affect them. The EPA's decision for an open tray burn to dispose of explosives at Camp Minden was the most insensitive and unprofessional idea that I have ever seen coming out of the EPA. And I've worked with them for decades. The EPA is full of professional and smart people. I know a lot of them. Some of them are Aggies like me. No jokes. But none were apparently consulted on how to dispose of M6. The open tray method is completely reversal of the EPA's mission statement to protect citizens, wildlife, air, water, and land. Let me repeat that. The open tray burn is a complete reversal of the EPA's mission statement to protect us. They're not protecting us if they do the open tray. I've been asked tonight to speak on the health effects of the open tray burn. While this can be a technical matter with lots of big words, I'll try to make it as simple as possible. As a professor, I learned to take a 10-minute subject and convert it into an hour, sometimes. The explosives stored in your backyard at Camp Minden are composed of many chemicals. Specifically, the M6 explosive scheduled for open burning is composed of 5 hazardous chemicals. And I've dealt with hazardous chemicals ever since the hazardous waste regs were written. And 2 of those chemicals are toxic. Dinitrotoluene and diphenylamine. I've told you there's some big words. And I can tell you some others. But allow me to tell you how humans are affected by these 2 chemicals, which are in the M6 explosives. Number 1, cancer, hepatocarcinomas, and other cancers. Number 2, and MD Anderson, by the way, says that 1 out of 2 in the United States will have cancer in their lifetime. That's some new statistics coming out of that hospital in Houston, which is the #1 cancer hospital in the United States. Number 2, cancers 1, 2, heart disease, cardiomyopathies, congestive heart failures. Number 3, skin lesions, and including precancerous and some cancerous skin cancers. Reproductive disorders, especially in males. We've seen it in animals. We see it in humans. Jaundice is number 5. Number 6, liver dysfunction and toxic hepatitis. Number 7, aplastic anemia, where you don't have enough iron in your hemoglobin, your blood, upper respiratory and gastrointestinal disorders, and that's just a few of them. Those are the main ones affecting people. Humans and wildlife will also be affected in the same way. These health effects are from the M6 explosives. Other explosives stored at Camp Minden, such as TNT, trinitrotoluene, present adverse health effects also. The burning of such chemicals in open tray, whether open or closed, incineration, can result in the formation of this chemical I'm about to tell you about. It's called dioxins. Dioxin is the most potent chemical today. A tablespoon of it in the water in Shreveport would kill everybody in Shreveport. And that can be produced with open burning or closed burning. It's not a pleasant thing, is it? With an open tray burning, we are compounding those toxins. We need fewer toxins, not more toxins. You know that 15 to 20% of all cancers are environmentally induced. We do not need more chemicals in the air from an open burn. The EPA has not performed any testing on the health effects of an open burn. Yet they stood there and said it's the safest and the cheapest. And it might be the cheapest initially, but down the road, 5, 10, 15 years, as I've given you the problems, the health disorders from the burning of those, what's going to be the health impact and the medical impact? Astronomical. So the method they want to use is in reality a gamble on our health. Huh? They haven't performed any testing. I will not stand by and allow our citizens to be treated like lab mice. We must keep the pressure on our elected officials you're bigger than I am, to provide legislation to ban open burning for our safety and for the safety of our environment. Thank you.
Brian and Dr. Honore are our real scientists. I'm not necessarily a scientist. I'm just a guy that likes to breathe fresh air. And it just didn't make sense to me what they were planning on doing. And the real reason why we are able to do what we are doing, when the EPA and the Army and the DEQ and the Army National Guard and all these folks decided that they were going to burn this stuff in our backyard, you know what they were really saying? We don't give a flip about you. And that's what they're really saying. So we have no respect for you as a human being. You just heard Dr. Flournoy tell you what all this obnoxious junk is that they're going to burn. So they have no respect for you as a human being if they intend to and then I have folks tell me I live in Shreveport, it don't bother me. Well, you're a dummy. I'm sorry. Or you live in Bossier. In the Army, I was a chemical officer. And I can plot what happens to stuff when the wind is blowing a certain speed and a certain direction, and you have a particular size, a certain size. I can plot and tell you where it's going to be tomorrow. And it doesn't know that it's supposed to stay at Darlene. It does not know that it's supposed to stay at Camp Minden. Stuff goes where the wind takes it, according to what is emitted. So if you're from Shreveport and you're from Bossier, or wherever you're from, if you're within 100 miles of here and you think this is no concern to you, you are sadly mistaken. Sadly so. I mean, I had folks tell me that. I had folks that live in Minden. They said, well, I don't live in Darlene. I said, well, what do you think Camp Minden is? It's not really in Darlene. Camp Minden is out that way. And wherever the wind blows, that's where it's going to go. So what I'm saying to you now, I have resolve. You see my thing says resolve.
Okay, thank you very much. The Green Army is reporting for duty. This is a call for action. If you see something, say something. Do something. Call 911, take a picture. If you see something, say something, do something. That is the motto of the Green Army. Because our purpose is to help citizens like you fight pollution. We started the Green Army because of Bayou Corn. You may have read about Bayou Corn. It's a community that was destroyed by a chemical company on top of the Napoleonville Salt Dome in Assumption Parish over the last 2 years. They destroyed that community. Everybody had to move. The sad part is just a few years before that, we lost Grand Bayou. 2 communities lost because industry operating unregulated with exceptions and exemptions to the Clean Air Act. We have issues in this area way beyond the open trade burn. The good news, you've spoken up. But there are other issues, pollution issues, right here in this tri-parish area. We have problems here with ozone problems. You have problems with power plants that use lignite for fuel. Lignite is the dirtiest form of coal you can use. Why are we using lignite in the Cleco plant when you got natural gas coming out the kazoo? We ship with natural gas overseas, and we got a power plant using the most dirtiest form of coal areas. Why is that? So while we at it, and we fix Camp Minden, and every time I say Camp Minden, you say stop the burn. Camp Minden, stop the burn. We've got to look at these other issues that are affecting you, have been affecting you. The reason you are a frequent flyer to St. Jude, God bless you, is because these long-standing problems we have with pollution that affect this region. I can tell you, Camp Minden would not be allowed in California or Massachusetts. This is being done because we're here in Louisiana because we got lax laws. Don't you believe that company didn't come here because they had to sneak into the state? Right. Our laws allow them to come into the state. Where else? Show me another place where they're burning lignite for a power plant. That is about as stupid as we can get. That is bad stuff. It is the worst kind of coal that you can burn. We don't have enough regulators that regulate these companies. That's how Camp Minden happened. That's how Camp Minden happened. We don't have the state regulators to inspect these places. Now most of them cars have been taken from them. They got a bummer ride to come up here. So we can save money. In the third largest energy producer in America, our state workers we've got good state workers, don't you get me wrong about the people themselves. We got weak laws. And they got exceptions and exemptions to the Clean Air and the Clean Water Act. That stuff ended up at Camp Minden because we got weak state laws. We got people running for office today that said if they win, they're going to put a boot on the neck of the EPA. What does that mean? The EPA wouldn't do this in California. The EPA does that in Louisiana because every time they try to do something, they get an exemption or exemption from the state, and our senators go to raising hell and keep the EPA budget. Wake up, people. Well, a guy said, yes,
Don't worry about those people. I have my army. And the chief villain looked at him and said, yes, you got an army, but those are damn volunteers. You see, volunteers don't care. They're not paid. They're here because they got a purpose. They got skin in the game. Those paid soldiers, they're just merchants of soldiers. We live here. We die here. We raise our children here. Ladies and gentlemen, you're volunteers. You're volunteers. You're volunteers. Stand up and be counted. God bless you. God bless America. Camp Minden. Camp Minden. Camp Minden. Camp Minden. Camp Minden.
Is anyone else can't sleep at night about this open burn? And we realized that this was a done deal, that the Army, the EPA, and the state of Louisiana had all signed this agreement to do an open burn, which, by the way, is against the law. You cannot open burn hazardous waste. It's against the law. But they figured out this exemption, which they're not using correctly. It's still against the law. And they backed themselves into this corner to do this illegal activity that was going to be dangerous, that was going to have long-term consequences for our community's health, for the economic future of the region. And we were having this collective nightmare. Some of us were crying at night. Some of us couldn't sleep at night. Some of us were having nightmares about this situation. I know that some of the elected officials were also experiencing this. So there are safe alternatives. But even if the dialogue committee says, well, we want one of these alternatives, there is still a legally binding agreement that the state, the Army, and the EPA have signed that mandates them to do the open burn. Okay? And so we have to get them to amend that agreement. They have to sign an amendment and change what it says and allow for a safer method to be used. And so we have all got to call our senators and our representatives, Senator Bitter, Senator Cassidy, Representative Fleming, Representative Abraham, and tell them they must talk to, particularly the Army, and they must amend this agreement. Okay? We have to keep the political pressure on. The work of the Dialogue Committee can only do so much because we don't have the power to choose what happens at Camp Minden. The state, the Army, and the EPA still have that power. And they're on the Dialogue Committee, they're working very hard with us, but they have to hear from you through your congressional representatives and senators. So you have to call them tomorrow, you have to call them the next day, you have to call them every day until this is over, and we cannot let the pressure up because this has national implications. If the Army is required to clean up this M6 safely here, then other communities are going to demand the same thing. There are 557,000 tons of this kind of propellant stored around the country. They're going to have to be disposed of over the next 10 years. Do you think they want to do that by open burning it? Okay, this is why we have to win here to protect not only our community, but every community. And people around the country are watching what happens here. You also have to be prepared to come out and fight for whatever methods the Dialogue Committee evaluates as the safest. They're not just going to give it to us, okay? We're going to have to fight for this. We're asking hard questions of them. We're saying, what are you testing for on the emissions of any of these technologies? Where would the wastewater go? We're saying, do you have the capacity for hold, test, and release? This is a very important concept. What that means is that anything that comes out of the disposal process, if it's solid, if it's liquid, or most importantly, if it's gas, they will capture that. They will test it for any dangerous thing that could be in there before it goes back into the environment. Is that what you want? Yeah. Do you want to be 100% certain that no pollutants are going into your air or your water? Yeah. Okay, that's what we're demanding on your behalf. You have to be ready to back us up. Even if it costs a little bit more money, even if the Army doesn't want to do it, even if our state is ready to cave. And I hope that they're not. They're working very hard on this committee with us. But you have to be prepared when we come back to you and we say, these are the safe alternatives that we've looked at. You have to stand up and demand them. So tomorrow, everyone is going to call your senators and your representatives, and the next day, and the day after that. And then you're going to be ready for us to say, these are the safe alternatives, these are the companies that can do them, and we're going to demand that one of those companies be given the contract. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Dolores Diddy Lynch, and I'm from Shreveport as well. And I've been to here in Minden. I've visited you all many times within the last couple of months or so, and I just love the farm. I love the farm. I'll be coming back even after we resolve this. Family and friends of North Louisiana, friends of Texas, friends of Arkansas. The effects of the burn do not know boundaries. The effects of this burn will cross parish and state lines. It will affect all of us. It will affect visitors to our towns and cities, passers-by of our interstates and other highways and roads. You have made the first step in doing what you can do to stop the burn. You are here. You have a voice. Applaud yourselves. At this moment, right now, you're giving this your undivided attention. You are equipping yourselves with information, with knowledge and awareness. You are now aware of a horrible burn that was scheduled to take place for 15 months to 2 years, maybe even longer. A burn that has been planned for your environment, for my environment, that will change our environment as we know and enjoy it today. And that will affect your family and my family and our surroundings for many years, possibly forever. You are aware of the harm that was soon about to come upon you, upon your family, your children, your unborn babies. You are aware that this burn of these poisons is predicted to cause you, your children, your pets, that are very much a part of your families, much harm. It will, without a doubt, bring about an increase in sickness, horrifying diseases, as you've heard, birth defects, suffering, medical bills, and they won't even expand Medicaid. Loss of health, loss of jobs because you can't work if you're sick. Loss of properties and liberties because if you can't work, you can't pay bills and you can't eat. You can't farm or fish or hunt if everything is contaminated. The fish, birds, and the other animals, and yes, the soil, the grass, trees, and other plants. Most things you see or touch, poisoned. The water where you fish, the water in which you bathe, wash your dishes, your face, the very water you drink and give your children, and mix with the formula your babies suck from their warm bottles, poisoned. The air you breathe, and yes, your eyes, your skin, everything is affected. You are aware that this burn, this harm that was going to happen right here under your noses without your permission. Yes, without your having anything to say about it. Without even your knowledge. You are now aware. The next step is to thank God that this was brought to our attention in time for it to be stopped. The next step is to become very concerned, and I'm using that mildly, very gently, but I'm angry. Very concerned. I won't say become afraid of about what was about to happen to you. I won't say be upset, that's up to you. but very concerned. I will say some of us did become extremely afraid and very upset. We all turned that fear and anger into productivity. Right, Francis? Into action that can make a difference. But you too must show in every feasible way that you too are a concerned citizen, that you will not stand by and quietly be a victim. You will not let this happen to you and your children and your grandchildren and their children. You will not have to explain to your young child or grandchild that might be deformed or chronically ill once they are a teenager. You will not have to explain to them that they're this way because of the burn and have them ask you, Mommy, Daddy, Grandma, Grandpa, Uncle, Auntie, why didn't you all do something about it? What can you do? What must you do? Stop the burn, Camp Minden? Camp Minden?
Thank you so much, you guys, for coming tonight. And I know that these people did not do this for any thanks, but I think that it's important for you all to see tonight that there are some people among us that are part of the Concerned Citizens group that have been working behind the scenes with Francis at our head. And I'd love for every one of them to stand so that you can see who they are. Members of the Dialogue Committee, the Technical Committee, and anybody up here. And when we have another rally, because I have a feeling we're going to need another one, when I ask for concerned citizens to stand up, I'd like the next one for all of you to be able to stand. So we need you.
Well, the community as a whole is very concerned because it's just a surprise for us. The open burn, they had decided on an open burn, and this is the way the EPA wanted to go with this. We've heard from so many scientists and other folks that were very knowledgeable with what's going on, and they've warned us. We got to get out there and we got to fight. We got to stand up for our community. It goes much further than just Minden, Dubberly. Wherever that wind goes, that's where this toxic chemical will go. And we've got to think about our children and our grandchildren and the animals and the water, the fisheries, and all the farms out there that are growing food for us. This is a really big issue, and it needs to be taken very seriously, and we need more action.
We're here tonight because we love Louisiana. We live in Shreveport. We love the Highland neighborhood. We don't have any plans on moving, and we don't want chemicals in our environment to be another reason to push us out of our area. We like our home. We want to keep it. We're also having our first baby. We want him to be healthy. We don't want to add to the numbers of more kids having cancer in our area than there already are.
Yeah. What about you guys? Do you guys think a lot of people feel like it doesn't concern them because they don't live here? Like they may live in Shreveport or Monroe, and do you feel like they just say, okay, but that doesn't concern me because I don't live there?
Yeah. You know, I don't know. At least in our circles, there are a lot of people in Shreveport who are concerned about this. I don't think there are any illusions that this isn't going to affect 30 miles away, at least in our circles.
Yeah, I think the buzzword of cancer, especially in Cancer Alley, catches so many people's attention and has affected so many people, and has affected our culture in such a way that whenever whenever you hear that, you're instantly on guard. So I think that, along with the leadership in the movement, has gone a long way to get people involved and remind people why it's important.
Yeah, I couldn't be more thankful that we came out tonight, especially after hearing General Honore speak.
Yeah.
It was powerful.
Yeah.
Well, we're in North Louisiana dealing with a current issue, that is the proposed burning of propellant that's been stored at Camp Minden for the last several years that has caused a problem and affects the health of the people. We have about 16 million pounds that came to the public attention after an accident happened and an explosion, and the result of a federal case that was a judge ordered the Army and the EPA to come up and develop a way to destroy the propellant and get rid of it. And as a result of that, they chose a course of action which they wanted to open tray burn, which meant they would open, just basically put a piece of metal on the ground and burn propellant, which would have an adverse effect on the air quality in this area. And you have to understand that any burn like that is an exception to the Clean Air Act. Even though the EPA was going to do it, it's still against the law. But as is the case with the EPA and our state laws, they get to write exceptions and exemptions to the Clean Air Act. This would have been and is a clear violation of the Clean Air Act. We're passionate about it because we're the Green Army. We have committed ourselves to helping communities in Louisiana fight pollution. We think all our citizens have a human right to clean air and clean water, safe land and safe food. We are volunteers. None of us get paid for what we do. And we've committed ourselves to help communities like those in North Louisiana, committed to protecting our air and perfecting our water. And we have serious air and water problems in North Louisiana. For a long time, people tried to concentrate that our pollution was a South Louisiana problem around the oil wells and the chemical plants. But we have a lot of gas wells in North Louisiana, and we have a power plant up here that burns lignite, which is the dirtiest type coal there is that they scrape out the bottom of the Red River. That needs to stop. That plant, Seco plant, need to move to natural gas and stop burning that lignite, which is very toxic, and it has a negative impact on the health of our children. So we have a health cluster, hot zone in this parish and surrounding parish of young children with cancer and with other respiratory problems, and as a result of the bad air that is coming from the plants west of here and north of here, and as the air come across, it is having an impact on the people. So that's why I'm here to help lead the Green Army, and we're here to help the people in Webster Parish and surrounding area fight for clean air and clean water.
My name is Frances Kelly. I'm with Louisiana Progress Action, and I coordinate the Concerned Citizens campaign. We're very happy with the crowd here tonight. Clearly the community is still concerned about the open burn and wants to see a safe alternative, and we're going to continue to fight to ensure that there will be no open burn and there will be a safe disposal method that is used to clean up the M6 propellant at Camp Minden. And everyone here committed to go back to their communities, to go back to Shreveport, to Monroe, to Minden, to Ruston, to Bossier, and to talk to their friends, their neighbors, their church members, their co-workers, their family about how important it is to stop this burn. And everyone is committed to making sure there will be no open burn at Camp Minden. So we're going to keep reaching out to communities across North Louisiana and the surrounding states, and everyone is coming together. We will stop the open burn. We will win a safe disposal of the M6. Thank you.
My name is Samuel Mims, and I'm a member of the Concerned Citizens to stop the burn at Camp Minden. And I got involved and got started in this process because I just felt like, and this is the honest truth, I just feel like I want to be able to breathe without the air being contaminated, and it just didn't make sense to me for the government to be going to burn this magnitude of, this quantity of material without knowing exactly what they were putting into the air, and they were just trying to do the cheapest in the most expedient way. And so it just didn't make sense to me. So that's how I got involved with all these folks. And so now we've been involved, I guess, about 2-3 months. And we think that we're in good shape. There will be no burn.